Hello. So really fantastic to hear from 2 projects. There's more coming. We've got 7 speakers now who have 10 minutes each, and hopefully it's going to be just as illuminating and interesting as the last 2 projects that you heard about. So to start us off, we've got a couple of tech demos, and then we've got some other commissions, projects, whatever you like to call them, to talk through pieces of technology, some of whom I know who are fascinating, you guys. And but we're starting off with something brilliant from Martin from Relentless.
Is it on? Yeah, great. So my name is Martijn. I'm the producer of ConnectNet Geo TV, which is a new type of interactive TV. And what we want to do with this is create a total immersive experience, not just for kids, but also for parents. So let me quickly start this. And we're still working very hard on it, so if any cuts and such are weird, then you know what it is.
Hi, I'm Casey Anderson, and this is my big buddy Brutus. We've been friends since he was just a cub, and together we teach people all about life here in the wild. One thing you need to know about Brutus is that he loves to eat wild Alaskan salmon. But unlike his wild cousins, Brutus has never learned to fish. So on today's adventure, we're gonna head north to watch wild Alaskan bears learn how to fish. Then we're gonna come back here to Montana and try to teach Brutus. Got you a big trout. Time to catch fish like they do in Alaska. Along the way, look for the sidetracks. And if you find them, you'll get to help me rescue an orphan bear cub and teach her how to fish. During this adventure, something truly amazing will happen. Your room will become the Alaskan wilderness, and you will turn into brown bears and put your fishing skills to the test. But I've got to warn you, it's not easy being a bear. Remember, this is TV that you play. Get ready to stand up, snap great pictures, and fish like a bear to earn your Project Kodiak badge. We've got a lot to do, so let's get to the show. Ready, buddy? Come on. Can you believe how high those salmon can leap? Catching them is trickier than it looks. Now it's your turn to give it a try. Let's see how many salmon you can catch with your mouth. Up on your feet, bears. Let's go fishing.
Okay, here we go.
Are you set? Raise your hand and we'll get going. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
I need a volunteer.
Eat as many salmon as you can.
Because you need to eat the fish with your mouth.
Come on, you can do it. Remember, you have to move your mouth over to the salmon to catch them. The gray fish aren't worth as many points. Good catch. Get the pink fish. You work hard. Those salmon are great to eat. You can do it. 10 more seconds. Keep it up. It's tough, but I know you can do it. And you're done. Let's check your score. stars. Way to go. Want to play again or go back to the show? Okay, here we go.
At this precise time of year, more than 40,000 salmon are completing an epic journey. Over the past several years, they have traveled from their birthplace, running wild in the rich North Pacific Ocean, and now they are headed home. Guided by the Earth's magnetic field and the scent of their native waters, the salmon surge upstream. They press on through dense bear habitat, finally arriving here, as I am, at their birthplace on the quiet shore of Fraser Lake. My timing is perfect. The first spawners have arrived, and there's more on the way. And it looks like the bears
So normally,
All right, it looks
whilst
like you
you
found the
were
final sidetrack.
watching
When I was in
the
Alaska,
program,
I
you
learned
can
that
see
pouncing on the
footprints
fish
over the
is really
screen,
hard.
and if you shout
But maybe it's
tracks
'cause I was
really
too
loud,
old.
then you bump into a side track which gives you more information about what's going on at that very specific moment.
So far, we've seen a lot of fishing techniques in Alaska. Which fishing technique should we teach her? Should we teach her to steal fish like Flo and the Steelers? Or should she jump and pounce on a fish and catch it herself?
Okay, for the option on the left, raise your left hand. For the option on the right, raise your right hand.
Lucy is still young and can learn quickly. So why don't we teach her how to pounce and how to steal? All bears have their own personalities, and from the first time I met her, I could tell Lucy was mischievous. So let's start out with stealing.
Who doesn't want to have their own bear?
You can steal it? What do you think? Oh, she's already pretty good at that one. Now let's see how she does as a pouncer in her very own trout pond. Shortly after we rescued Lucy, we learned she loved the water. She's gone through a few different baby pools already.
So what you
For
see
this
here is
lesson,
a result
we
of a
built her
very
her
close
own
collaboration
custom fishing
between
pond.
Microsoft
Check
and
it
National
out.
Geographic and the
Okay,
studio that I
naturalists,
work for,
we've been
Relentless
observing how
Software.
cubs
And
learn
what we
fishing
try
skills
to
in
do
the
is
wild.
really redefine
So
the
how
way
should we
that
get started
people
with Lucy?
interact with their
Should we just
television.
let her get in the pond and give it a shot?
Need to make a
Or should
choice
I
now.
be the teacher and show her what I've observed?
You need to raise the hand that matches the side you want to choose. Will it be left or will it be right?
You're right. So much of what bears know, they learn by observing. So if I tried the pouncing technique, maybe Lucy will. Hey, Lucy, pay attention. Right here, look. You gotta get in there and you gotta pounce on them like this. Now, it's not easy, but I bet you can do it. Come on, get in here and try it. Come on. Get up. Oh, that was close. Good girl. There's one. Can you get it? Oh, right here. There's one right there. Get him. Get him. Get him. Thanks for that. Good girl. Good girl. Get it. Get it. Get it. Get it. Get him. Get him. Yes! You got a big one. Good girl. Good. Yay, you got it. You're an awesome pouncer. Now that we taught Lucy how to fish, she is really good at it. Let's see how Brutus does. For that, I think we're gonna need a bigger pond. Let's get back to the show. Not far behind. The bears are so intent on fishing, they hardly notice me. This bear here is doing my personal favorite, the chase and pounce technique. He spotted some salmon in some shallow water, and he's putting the run on them. he's trying to run him up where he can pounce on him and have him for lunch. All right, it's time for the final salmon run of the year. You're gonna need all your bear skills for this. Use your mouth to catch as many salmon as possible, but be on the lookout for bears who want your spot. Get enough fish, and you can let out an Alaskan-sized grizzly roar. Let's show them, Brutus. Yeah, everyone in the room should join in when it's time to roar, okay? On your feet, let's do this.
Raise your hand above your head when you're both ready to start. 3, 2, 1, go! Catch the salmon in your mouth. Come on, you can get those salmon. A rival bear is after your territory. Slap him away. Come on, you can do it. Okay now. Position your mouth over the salmon to catch it. You've got to block those attacking bears. Swipe at those bears with your paws to keep them away. Move your mouth over the salmon to catch it. Get your arms up and hold still to block those attacks. Catch the salmon. Look out for rival bears. They're after your territory. It's tough, but I know you can do it. There's another bear on the scene. Raise your arms to block those attacks. Halfway through. Keep catching those salmon. Come on, you can get those salmon. Remember, you have to move your mouth over to the salmon to catch them. Time to let loose a big old roar. Keep at it. Great roar. It's a feeding frenzy. Catch as many salmon as you can. That's time. How well did you do? That's 2 big stars. Do you want to play another round or go back to the show?
Yeah, so specifically for today, we created a version of this interactive experience that only lasts like a quick 10 minutes, but normal episodes that we're working on take about 30 minutes, so this is a bit compressed, but just as awesome. Okay, well, that's it, and thank you for watching this.
So the mic's going to go to the next person, they'll all introduce themselves. And yeah, I was about to say, someone buy David a bottle of whiskey for just demoing, but I need one now as well, thanks. I have to say that it is actually probably more involving than you realise, because I did find myself going, and then I thought, actually, that doesn't, it's just my head, isn't it? Anyway, next speaker, thanks.
Is it working? Hi, everyone. I wanted to show you today our company, Screens. Screens is a joint venture between Keshet, Israeli biggest broadcaster, and The Box. The Box is a new media company based in Israel as well. I'll show you a short video about us and then some demos of our technology. I hope.
Television is a medium of unparalleled force. Even through the digital revolution, it has remained the center of the living room. The living room, however, has completely changed. More screens demand our attention every day, and the dialogue between them is where our lives are taking place. Screens is a cross-media company that brings you as a leading force into that dialogue. It's a joint venture that brings together two industry leaders, Keshet and The Box. Keshet is Israel's leading commercial broadcaster, dominating prime time with shows like Big Brother, MasterChef, and The £1 Million Drop. It's also a worldwide leader in the interactive arena via Mako, its digital arm. The Box, a content and cross-media company that has created groundbreaking projects for international brands such as Disney, Nike, and Coca-Cola. Its team of accomplished professionals enables a unique convergence of content and technology. From this unparalleled wealth of experience and knowledge, we created Screens, a company representing the successful merging of TV, web, and mobile. Digital projects that brought primetime formats to new heights. Games that turned audiences into part of the television event. And innovative cross-platform formats. Cross-media presence is not just a requirement or a buzzword, but an adventure and an opportunity. It can turn any television brand into a multi-platform event that viewers cannot afford to miss. It can generate more revenues, more branding, and ultimately higher ratings. Join the dialogue. Triumph the screen.
I'm sorry that this video is a bit too commercial for this kind of event, which is more focused about Doco. But screens, I guess, represent our age that we live in. The television can't exist just as a one screen at a person's living room. It's actually more and more screens that we have at our home. And I think from our experience and from a lot of technology companies coming from Israel, we're trying to bring the best to package them in a creative way or smart way and bring it out of Israel and tell the stories of those technologies. I want to showcase a few technologies. One of them is a project that we did with Nike 8 months ago. It was in, it was in Tel Aviv 8 months ago. Nike Run is an event that I guess just other projects, but I'm not going to focus on them. Nike Run is something that happens once a year. People go out in the street and just run. What we did 2 weeks before the run, we published an application and called people to download it. This app actually allowed people to broadcast live from their mobile device straight to any Facebook page or any web page. So this was the video that we asked them to download. So we thought it's going to be interesting and big, but actually the result was very surprising, and I want to show you that. You will see videos that are taken from above, and whenever you see a yellow down on the screen, it's a user photo.
Beginning workout.
So 16,000 people were at the run, 3,000 people download the app and published it directly. So the idea behind it, if each one of those people has between 300 to 500 people on Facebook, all of them are watching the experience as it comes. And just imagine X Factor live, final, 20,000 people in Wembley. Each one of them is holding a mobile device. So it's not only the TV experience going, it's the experience of the social user sharing the experience with his friends, and not only on TV, but in various websites or networks. The second project, this is something cool that we did with Big Brother in Israel, but I'm not going to show all of it right now. This is another cool technology, gestures technology, very similar to what we just saw, but actually taking the gestures and finding a way to combine it with what we do today in TV. So obviously there are a lot of cooking shows out there, cooking shows that those TV channels don't know exactly how to accelerate them online or what to do with them online. What we did is created kind of an app that has all those recipes, all the fun stuff that usually there is on a cooking show, and added a cool technology which is gestures. The idea behind it, you're cooking in front of your iPad, your hands are dirty, and you just want to move to the next step. So that's a video that can explain it.
What can you do with fresh mint leaves, a couple of juicy plums, a stem of green onion, a cup of yogurt, and a mobile device? Stuffed plums on a bed of refreshing yogurt. And this is just one of many delicious recipes that are available at your fingertips. Screens presents the Appetite Cooking Application. Choose a recipe by cuisine, a type of dish, or just tell the app what you have in your fridge. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. Whenever you need to see the next step, just wave at your mobile. Or operate it using your voice. Next step, please. The cooking application is a great digital extension for your televised cooking show. It can be tailored to your needs, feature a dynamic glossary, or enable in-app purchases. The Appetite Cooking application already has a proven track record of user satisfaction, be it on the iPhone, iPad, PC, or Android. Bon appetit!
So again, we took the core technology. I don't know if a lot of you know about Israel Technology Hub and how a lot of companies out there in the world just started the development in Israel. So what we do is aggregate between the most interested one, and as a broadcaster we have an advantage because they're just coming to our door presenting stuff, and actually most of the time they're very young companies that don't know exactly how to get to the market, what's the right packaging, who is the client. And what we're trying to do is take that amazing technology, package it, and understand who are the clients out there. And we're now operating, I'm based in London, we have an office in LA, soon to open in Paris, so that's how, and the company is just started, so hopefully we're going to have a successful year. I'm going to finish with one last bit of technology. It's a second screen. There's a lot of second screen application out there. What in this unique is the augmented one. I'll just show you the video.
There's a new way to watch TV. It's called iWatch. It's more fun, more social, and more interactive in real time. Just point your smartphone at the screen, and iWatch immediately identifies the show you're watching. Now it's easy to share what you watch with your friends. Check out what your friends are watching. Join the conversation about the show. Find interesting information, and even interact with augmented reality TV content in real time. Pretty cool, huh? iWatch simply makes TV more fun, more social, more interactive. iWatch, a whole new way to enjoy the show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ifat. And now to the next person, who is Richard Nockels, Yellowbird.
Right, so yes, 360. So this camera here, it's a pretty new tech, but I should really introduce, we're a sort of Yellowbird are an end-to-end production company, so we do camera services and crews, and more importantly, we do the sort of interactive and flash development behind the sort of programming that we're talking about today. How to engage with the audience, the second screen, and obviously as technology increases and broadband speeds increase, we're going to start to see much more of this sort of technology. Can we just show this? Are you on it? So 360 is, have you got it? Okay, yeah. So 360 is basically like traditional video. You can play within the player. And then with the click of the mouse, you can then turn around. So it's recording in all directions at the same time, and you can then track your mouse and look wherever you want. We're finding a lot of the work that we do at Yellowbird tends to be sort of brand specific and advertising specific, but broadcasters are starting to get interested. This was a job we did with the BBC and Blue Peter. We've also recently done work with ITV and with Kate Coulton at Channel 4 to do with Damien Hirst's show at the Tate, which actually, of all the projects we've worked on, I think is probably one of the ones I'm most proud of, because for the first time, the broadcaster he sort of pushed us as far as talent-led programming. So this is the Damien Hirst show. It has got audio.
You've got Mother and Child Divided, which he won the Turner Prize for. I took a chainsaw and cut a cow in half, a really violent act, but made it really beautiful and poetic.
What's interesting about this, so obviously, Noel Fielding is taking us through Damien Hirst's exhibition, and it was incredibly successful for Yellowbird because it was the first time that we actually got to work with talent like this, and so it was all short form films. So the films were, I think there were 6 2-minute films. Noel took us through various parts of Damien Hirst's show. The entire show lasted 14 minutes, but the average time spent on the whole experience was 18 minutes, which is unprecedented as far as online content. So, as an average, the people were kept going back, kept watching it. And actually, for all of our videos, so all the 360 videos we do, the average user tends to watch the same video 2.5 times. So people love 360. Now, because it's new tech, brands love it, advertising agencies, I'm pulled into advertising agencies all the time. I think I was delighted to be invited here because I'm bored. I'm bored of advertising. I don't want to do advertising. I want to make films, and especially given the conversations we're having as far as the next generation of technology, the IPTV, so internet. We talk about it all the time with second screen. The ability to have this as your first screen and use your remote control and literally just turn around and look in whatever direction. I think it opens up massive potential for documentaries. Let me just show you, for the nerdy camera people out there, exactly what's involved in 360. So this is the camera. You can see how small it is. Basically, it records 6 different lenses. So one looking up, which is sort of stretched across the top. And then when it's all stitched together, it creates this panoramic. And the panoramic is then wrapped around a spherical flash player, which then allows you to track and move your mouse. So it seems like it's really sort of high tech, but actually, it's actually really simple. And as soon as you start to wrap your head, as filmmakers, to wrap your head around producing stuff, you've got to sort of step away and actually think of it more like theatre, and more like, so you're completely capturing an event. With Noel Fielding and the Channel 4 thing, it works absolutely brilliantly. And I guess what Yellowbird's doing is sort of very much looking for the next area. So, for example, documentaries. I mean, this was just a simple test that we did going through central London, me trying not to kill myself, going through central London. So the cameras are very rugged, and, you can basically do anything with them. This was a poet. In fact, this was the video that sort of won us the
Who's the greatest fighter of all time?
So this guy was a friend of mine, Musa. He's a poet in London, and he'd written this brilliant poem about London, and I just went, right, come on, let's just go out. So we took the camera. I was actually under there on a mobile unit, and we were able to kind of there's two policemen we were just going past, be able to just go out on the streets, and nobody's seen cameras like this. So you can, right now, it's a very interesting time to actually be thinking about producing 360, and certainly from conversations I'm having with broadcasters who are desperate to, for good ideas and good content, and coming up with an idea that's going to engage people. So you've got the engagement factor, the fact that we know people love it, they know that they want to see and move around and experience it. You've then got the technology, and I mean, certainly, let me just show you. This was a test we did. We strapped the camera onto a go-kart. This was kind of my boyhood fancy of Formula One. The idea of, wouldn't it be brilliant if you had 360 on a Formula One car? It's a reality. The cameras just have to be a little bit smaller, but the tech is there. What's interesting when you start to get into the second screen devices is then using the sort of the ability, the gyroscopics. I'm not sure if you can see this in the back, but the content. So with the content, because it's gyroscopically linked, imagine that sphere. So you're wrapped around. So you can then, I literally can look up, look around, and spin and see whatever it wants. It's also linked. I'm not sure if you guys can see at the back, but it's also, you've got sort of Twitter feeds that you can have, there's clickable elements within it. You can control it with your fingers or obviously look up and down. So, really exciting technology, pushing that next level of engagement. And that's what it's all about. It's about engaging with this audience. So, 360 is not ever going to, it's never, going to, get the sort of attention that traditional filmmaking will get until we get a good idea. And that's kind of what I'm really wanted to come and pitch to you guys, because I think it'd be really interesting for creative producers to start to imagine what they can do with this. We've also got, actually I'll show you, this is an example of more sort of traditional sort of commercial shoot. So this is our DOPs, lighting, so all practical lights, because obviously you can't, as a director, you can't be in the shot, so it becomes very much the sort of piece of theatre. But I mean, can you imagine Mission Impossible 13, being shot like this, where you've got genuine narratives being told, going into, experiencing what it's like. Imagine a year's time, I mean, the technology you're talking about, that's very simple merge between the second screen and this kind of content, and you'd be able to lift your iPhone to an advert on TV or a program, and be able to then gyroscopically in your living room be able to look behind you. So while the program's on, you can just link to that gyroscopic content. So there's absolutely massive opportunity for telling stories in this way. I think with Damien Hirst, it was just so exciting for us to see how people reacted to this. And I think we were lucky because Channel 4 really plugged it before, so we had loads of people sort of going to the online experience. We also were lucky enough to have Damien Hirst in it as well. So, but it just, I think, as far as the tech, it really works. Now can I just flick to this little? So this is the camera, and again, just to show you how it actually works, if I can. It doesn't seem to be responding. Yeah. So this is a live feed, which you can then sort of see how, if everyone sort of waves in the distance, you can see how it's reacting. So the technology, the algorithms which are stitching this, can be done live. So we actually did a show with ITV for this morning, Philip Schofield. We actually had two cameras in the studios which were linked, and people could click between the different things. But, again, opens up a massive potential for the bigger ideas. I mean, I loved the Fox live show. That was brilliant. Why not do this? Why not put a 360 camera in one of those and just kind of, it'd be mental, as far as, taking that excitement and that engagement and then just adding this application, which basically just sits on people's websites, you can download it onto apps, and you know, the sky's the limit. I mean, I personally want to get into drama and documentaries and start to experiment with long form, but you know, we just need, you know, I think we're making those steps. Certainly, the ideas, and you know, we're talking to massive brands, you know, who want to capture their big events, you know, the music and the sports, which makes sense. You know, I'm more interested in sort of cleverer ideas, you know, maybe just doing traditional documentaries, trying to see what traditional documentaries might look like. I mean, they might not work. We don't know. No one's tried them. And that makes it exciting in itself. Certainly from Damien Hirst, it was a massive success. And, you know, seeing Kate's smiling face looking at me, we haven't actually seen each other since we did this project. But definitely... sorry, could you just flick back to the... Yeah, I think it's a huge potential, and yeah, you should definitely think about 360. There you go.
Thank you, Richard.
Yeah, so as far as the cameras, the geeky side of things, so this camera is called a Ladybug 3. This is our sort of bread and butter camera, which we've used. In fact, actually, going back, there's one very important thing which I forgot to mention, and just to show the interactivity. So this, sorry, could you just go back to the other screen? This is a job we did for EA. Again, 360 environment, so you can see, but you can also see these hotspots here. So talking about, you know, how to engage. Now, when you click on the hotspot, this then opens up traditional content, and I'm still able to look around, so I can still pan around, and inside this box, we've now got traditional content, photographs, behind the scenes, you know, whatever you want to put in this the traditional point. Now, what's more exciting is the fact that you can play traditional video as well. So as documentary makers, you know, and broadcasters, we all have existing traditional content. Well, with this, we can actually play video live from, it's not loading, we could play video if it was loading, but what we should be seeing here is a live YouTube feed which comes straight into the 360 player. So you can still integrate traditional film and content into 360. I don't know why that isn't loading, but that's, anyway. So yes.
Thank you. I can tell everyone's fascinated by that, but Richard is around and he'll be on one of the tables, so people can come and talk to him about it afterwards. But I'm going to have to stop him there because we now have to go to Adam Lawrenson from Digit.
Hello. I'm afraid we've got nothing whizzy, just normal pictures. So hopefully still interesting, though. At the moment, we've just got black, but sure we'll get so hello. Yeah, so what we're going to talk to, oh, I've got a zapper, today is about the technology of motivation. Now, you won't have any idea what that is, mainly because we made it up. But before we talk about that, just a little bit about who we are, and you can decide whether you want to listen. So what we've got here, I'm Associate Creative Director at Digit. We're a design company in London. We've been around for about 20 years. So, but I think, as you see here, this is just showing we do a range of stuff. We create content, animations, interactive experiences. We create installations. We make films sometimes, websites, a whole range of stuff. But I think what sort of differentiates us from normal agencies is we have a R&D stream. And what that means is that we invest money in sort of tinkering with emerging technologies. And the sort of aim of that really is to make sure we're sort of understand them and we're ahead of the curve so that when people want to play with them or do something with it, we kind of understand them a lot better. So that's something that we do, and that's who we are. Okay, so I was going to talk about this technology of motivation, and we're kind of focused on much more on the technology side, but obviously as Channel 4, you do a lot of programs that try and change people's behaviors. I've just picked a random one here at Fish Fight. You know, it's trying to get people to eat more sustainably in the fish. And how do you get people to interact with this more than just the program. Obviously, changing behavior, however sort of clever and however sort of persuasive these programs are, getting people to change their behavior on the long term is going to be really, really difficult. I mean, obviously, there's stuff here that goes on that way, and you know, you've got people putting in their email addresses and all that kind of thing, and you've got a restaurant guide, so you know where you can find fish. And I guess it's in this sort of area that we want to discuss this sort of technology side, how you can take this sort of programming and move it on really to motivate people to change their behavior long term. So what is the technology of motivation? Well, it's a kind of term that we've coined, and for the sort of last 9 months we've been trying to develop a social game. The sort of closest parallel really is Farmville, those type of things. And the game that we developed, without going into that, we learned some sort of some really key things about that, about the sort of psychology behind these games, about how people get motivated for them, you know, about micropayments and instant reward and gratification and all this kind of thing. And what we've learned from that, we have taken forward into what we've sort of termed the technology of motivation, which is sort of an R&D stream. And I'm just going to sort of share with you a little project that we've been working on at Digit. But before I do, you know, to understand this sort of technology of motivation, the key, I guess, example of that might be something like Nike Fuel Band. You know, this is a piece of technology that I'm sure everyone knows about it, that you can kind of track and document what you do in terms of sport, and it works out how much energy you've consumed, and then you can track that over time, and hopefully then by tracking that you can kind of do more in the future. Another great example is Fiat EcoDrive, a piece of technology that exists within your car that tracks your driving behavior, so you can kind of see what's going on with your driving, when you're accelerating, all that kind of thing, and then you can improve it. I mean, it's a fairly old example, but it's kind of just key to sort of understand this technology of motivation. And there's this Nest, which learns from your behavior. So as you're turning down your energy monitor or turning it up, it starts to learn from that, and then it helps you reduce your energy bill. So that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. But we came up with something internally. Now, we've got these R&D streams, and we wanted to try and work out how we could change one of our own behaviors in the office. And you know, we exist on the 5th floor, and our lift is sort of bafflingly slow. And we wanted to see how we could get people not to take the lift, how we could get them to take the stairs. So what we came up with is this thing called the City Peaks Challenge. It's a kind of it's a game really that we wanted to incentivize people to take the stairs rather than taking the lift. And we've sort of come up with this little thing, and it's called City Peaks. And the kind of way we describe what it is, okay, using RFID technology, which is the same sort of stuff that you have in your Oyster cards, we built these readers. Now, these readers, one of them sits on the bottom floor, and one of them sits at the top floor of our office, and which means that you can then check in on the bottom and check out at the top. And I think, you know, using Oyster card technology, this RFID, was kind of really key to the success of this, because trying to get people to change their behaviors, if they have to, well, buy a £150 armband from Nike, or if they have to download something, or have any sort of barriers to this, is kind of, you know, it sort of stops them getting involved in this. But Oyster card technology, everyone's got them in their pockets. They've already got them. They don't have to sign up to this. They're just sort of straight in. So we built these little boxes, put them up, and then it tracks your thing. So every time I check in and out, I've done a stair journey, which then we post on the City Peaks website. And it works with individual little sprints. So we've kind of created this nice little identity where you can race each other, and everybody in the office, against mini sprints, like Gherkin Pike or BT Tower, all that kind of thing. So each one of us in the office has a sort of profile, and we race each other, and then when you get to the top of each building, the winner gets to take that building, and then everyone else gets an email that says something like, Gherkin Pike was taken from right under your nose, keep up, get going, or whatever it is, I don't know, something like that. So this is our little game, but it's more than just this sort of public competition where we each sort of competing against each other for these individual buildings, but there is a sort of longer-term goal, something that is shown here. So obviously they're individual buildings that you're attacking each other on, but also you've got your own personal page, which is a sort of longer-term goal, because I think it's great with these sort of things to have really short-term rewards and long-term rewards. This one here, the sort of ultimate goal really is to climb Mount Everest. So Scafell Pike, and then you go via Ben Nevis to Everest. And that's your ultimate goal. And you've got your own little personal page here. So you can see each of the journeys is sort of, you can see how many calories you burnt into that, how far you're going. You get little badges that say you've completed this building, you've taken that, all that kind of thing. So it just takes a sort of little fun element into climbing the stairs. But as with all these things, you don't just sort of create these projects and then finish it. We always want to try and think about them as sort of always in beta. What else can we add? How can we sort of keep interest up? How can you sort of maintain interest over a longer period of time? So the other little thing that we've kind of done is we thought, well, wouldn't it be nice if everyone had a sort of winning track or something like that? So we've got an on-office Spotify account, and there you can go into the thing, you can log in, and you can say, okay, I want my winning track to be such and such. So that if I take a building, I've just checked in at the bottom, I check out at the top, I've just won. It sends a message to our office Spotify account, overrides whatever it's playing, so that when I come in the door, I come into my winning track, and I can go, way, and everyone turns around and gets annoyed, I guess. So that's the thing. We just want to kind of add little fun things to it over time, so that, I mean, it's just fun, really. It's easy to get involved. There's no sort of barriers. It's just a nice little piece of technology, but it motivates people, and it sort of connects the people in the office. They're sort of talking about it. Obviously, this is just climbing the stairs, but you can see how this can be taken on to, kind of anything, really. So that's our little stair project. I was worried I was going to go over 10 minutes, but I think I'm rattling through. The principles that made it successful, we've talked a little bit about them. It's sort of making it a low barrier to entry, making sure the technology is really super simple. I don't really need to do anything. Having sort of fun elements and all this sort of psychology and this sort of reward-based thing. But there's a couple of other sort of examples that I haven't really mentioned, and not to go over City Peaks again. I've just sort of put a few little examples that illustrate them. So the first is sort of about design. With the City Peaks, it could have been just a leaderboard and all that kind of thing, and whoever won the stairs gets told that they've won and all that. But by sort of creating this sort of identity around it, this sort of City Peaks challenge type thing, means that you can turn it into a bit more than what it could have been, and everyone finds it a little bit more engaging. But design is it's often overlooked as something to motivate people, that helps people make decisions, that sort of motivates. So here's a kind of good example of that. Okay, this is on the left is the sort of blood test that you would normally be given by your doctor, and it's dry, it's very difficult to understand, I don't know what I need to do, all that kind of thing. And on the right is what a designer's done, their sort of view of this, and it sort of breaks down the information, so it's a lot easier to understand. And also I can see the key things. I know what I need to do next. You can see there's some stuff at the bottom that tells me, exactly what I should do next, or the sort of headline facts, and it sort of interprets that in a way I can understand. And I think that's a kind of really important thing when we're trying to create platforms and devices and things like that try and motivate people. What is the next thing? Yeah, gamification. I've talked about this it's obvious the parallels between City Peaks and gamification. It's something that is really important when you're trying to do long-term behavioral change. But there is a sort of another side, or another example that I think is really interesting about how gamification can be used to persuade people to do things that they ordinarily wouldn't. And this example is super interesting. It's a sort of science project about protein folding, and I won't get into detail, well, mainly because I can't, because it's super, super complicated. But the sort of main point is that they tapped into the gaming community, and they created a game that allowed people to see how they could fold proteins. So you could work out a new protein folding, a new sort of structure of that, and then you'd get points for doing that. So they had this whole gaming community doing a science project because they turned it into a game, and because they could have fun whilst doing some real sort of important scientific research. So that's another good example of that. Sort of rewards. Obviously, there's sort of inherent rewards that we've got with the little badges and all that kind of stuff. And obviously, the rewards if you get your email, or if you get your track in, or something like that. It's something that Foursquare did really well. They turned a sort of offline checking in into a sort of online currency. And, people are sort of super into this and use it all the time, when it's actually quite a dry thing that I'm doing, just sort of checking into a building. But they've done it really well. But I think the the sort of example I find sort of more interesting is this, if you wanted to sort of punish people for not doing things. And one example is this thing called Write or Die. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's a way to punish people who get writer's block. And basically what you do is you enter into it how many words a minute you want to achieve, how much you want to write, and you start writing. You can see there's a little counter there, and if you don't achieve your words per minute, it starts deleting what you've written. So it's just a nice little thing. Well, a nice little thing it's not. It's an awful sort of thing, but it's funny. So yeah, that's that. And this is the sort of last thing, is just the way we sort of think about City Peaks and why sort of Nike was so successful with their Nike Plus, followed by the Fuel Band, is that you can sort of see them as larger. And I guess this is the sort of relevance for you guys in the room here, is thinking about them as a launch pad for content, as a way to inspire new content, or as a way to have another layer onto the content that you already produce. I mean, Fox's Live is a good example how that works. And another good example is a thing called push snowboarding. It works in a sort of similar way in that water. So what you do here is they've put loads of sensors in your snowboarding stuff. They put stuff in your boots. They put stuff in your clothing, and with the technology provided by Nokia and Burton Snowboarding, that's a sort of collaboration. They can track the speed that you're going, the height on your jumps, the velocity, all this kind of stuff, and then they can turn that data into visualizations that you can kind of put over your content. And obviously that could be just a sort of personal platform that I can see my statistics, my data visualization of my snowboarding kind of ride. But I think where it gets really interesting is when you start to overlay that over content. So you can see if you've got kind of real high-end, glossy Burton snowboarding stuff overlaid with this sort of real-time data, it sort of produces a new type of content, a new thing really, a new entity. And it also allows homemade videos of people snowboarding. It can turn that into sort of ready-made adverts for Burton or Nokia. So it's a kind of really interesting thought, I think, of how these kind of communities that build up around a particular interest, in our case it's climbing the stairs, in this case it's snowboarding, and they can sort of take this data and then they can do sort of new things of it. And I think when we think about that in terms of City Peaks, you could easily see how it could be bigger than just in our office. It could be something that could be a sort of citywide competition that people could enter up their building. It could be, this sort of this tower block versus this tower block are sort of competing to do the most amount of stair climbs, and their points could corroborate with, I don't know, something like the funds that are given to each building in terms of painting them up, or sports equipment and all that kind of stuff. And then when you think about it in that sense, if you start to document that, if you turn that into some kind of programming, this sort of social experiment becomes quite interesting. But you could see how that could be a self-funded initiative, or that could be something that Bupa wanted to do, and they could, because loads of people are climbing the stairs and all that, they could give a bit of money, and then you could create. So it's sort of these sort of relationships that I think are created with these sort of technologies. But there is a kind of fundamental benefit from them in that they are changing people's behavior over the long term, and that's kind of it. All right.
Okay, so thank you very much, Adam. And the next person on is Mariah, who's going to come up and present from the lectern. There's your clicker.
Hello, my name is Mariah Merman. I work for a public broadcasting company from the Netherlands called VPRO. I am a classical documentary filmmaker, so my presentation will be slightly different from the things you have seen before, because this is just a case study. And a case study that started from my personal idea of a sort of how I wanted my TV screen to look like. And for this, we built an app. And if you could please show the trailer.
I saw that panic, then I started watching CNN or one of those.
Oh my God.
I feel like when the Dow hit nearly down 1,000 points, you're like, really?
87 evens are trading, 86 evens are trading, 85 evens are trading here now, guys, all the way down.
Money and Speed Inside the Black Box is the world's first touch doc, a multi-layered exploratory documentary that reconstructs the flash crash, the fastest and deepest plunge of the US stock market ever.
No, the market didn't work. It broke down. The machines broke down. That's what happened. You know, Procter was never at 47.
Just minutes later, it was Armageddon.
Here you go. I've told it 830.
A thriller based on actual events that takes you to the heart of our automated financial world. In the Touch Doc, strong storytelling and meticulous visual analyses meet. You can physically interact with the financial data at an accuracy of within the millisecond.
Oh my gosh, I turned away when that happened. So who is it selling Accenture at 5 cents?
It used to be a machine, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, they're just rocketing back and forth between.
Yeah.
Only a machine can do those, right?
Get background information at any moment. See the possible impact on the financial sector of a nuclear attack on Wall Street. Share your personal flash crash stories and theories, or keep up to date with live data from the world's most important financial markets. A rare opportunity to experience what's happening inside the black boxes of our rapidly evolving financial markets. This Touch Doc shows what a merging of our television and computer screen can bring. Beware and be prepared for the next flash crash. Money and Speed Inside the Black Box. Now available for iPad in the Apple App Store.
So you could go out for a cup of coffee and come back and find that you'd lost $1 billion. That would ruin your day.
Could you go to the left? Sorry for this interruption. Okay. Yes. So, as working as a documentary director, I had been doing several documentaries on the financial markets, and this always was very difficult to work on those subjects. And I wanted to do a film on the automation of the financial markets, and I wanted to take data as the visual starting point for the story. And for this I teamed up with two graphic designers, Catalog Tree, a Dutch-based company, and they are specialized in data visualizations. But before this only had worked for print media. And essential to the project was that we really developed the project together on a, it was not that I came in with the idea and they came in much later. I had been making a film on quants. Those are the people who are writing the code within the financial sector. And while interviewing them, I asked them, it was a reconstruction of the mortgage crisis, I was asking them, what is your biggest fear? What will the next financial product be that you think could cause such havoc as the mortgage crisis did? Surprisingly, they didn't come up with another financial product, but their biggest fear was a rotten algorithm, a technical flaw in the system. And I don't know if there are people here who thought that they would get rich from the Facebook IPO a couple of weeks ago. But what happened then, just after the IPO started, is very similar to what happened during the flash crash. And that was exactly what the quants were afraid of, that would happen. As a filmmaker, doing something on the financial sector is like a horror, in the sense that it's completely non-visual subject, and the things you can show is just Wall Street, which is like a museum. It's just there for us to have the idea that we have an image that is connected to the financial markets, and that there are people screaming there, which they don't anymore because everything's happening in other places. also what makes it so horrible is that it's a complicated matter, and that people that want to know more about what's happening in financial markets have a different level of understanding of what's happening, and that nobody wants to talk to you. Really, no one, and no one wants to. Not even New York Stock Exchange, Goldman Sachs, whoever you approach, they don't want to talk, and they don't want to give the data to you also. So in that sense, it's a complicated. What we did is, together we designed this interface, and we reconstructed these 7 minutes of the American financial markets going into downfall. If you're going to see what the New York Stock Exchange exactly looks like nowadays, then you come to this place. So what we did to reconstruct these 7 minutes is, on one side, to zoom out, so go and see where what the financial markets, where it's happening, how it's looking like. And for this, we created this interactive map of New Jersey, where you can see where the ideal locations for data centers are. And the outer side of the data donut, as it's called, is because the glass fiber network gets to its limits there of being that orders can be executed really at the same moment in Manhattan and be executed. And the inner circle is because of the possibility of a nuclear attack on Wall Street. So that's the reason why the data centers can be located there. Then when you zoom into financial data, first it being very difficult to get a hold on because nobody wants to give it. You have to buy it, it's very expensive, or it's just protected, and nobody's interested in you telling a story about how maybe the financial markets may not function. So these are the sort of data that people within the financial industry, how they visualize their data, which is sort of boring for a filmmaker. And then when you really, we were sort of a data hunt, and finally you get, this is the data you get, and millions and millions and millions of data points that were made into graphic data visualizations like this. And when you go, when you have the app, you can really interact with these data. You can move them and use the left side as a sort of interface to go really into the nanoseconds of the financial markets. This is another example. Also, the whole app has a sort of sound design to go with it, so it's never silent. To understand the interface of the app is that this is really the film. While you're watching the film, there are sort of little tabs, visual tabs coming where you can get more information. The film stops and you get background. The moment you're ready reading this background, you can go back to the film. And then this is the main screen. So sort of the same information is also accessible through the headers over there. This is just when you play. So you can go to the data viz also anytime you want, but also I present to you certain extra information when I think it's you would be willing to see or listen to it. So it's in that sense a layered script. Biographical information, a glossary, which is a horror to make also. And I really wanted to have some live element into it. So we have this data from the World Financial Markets, which is live in that sense that it's 15 minutes after the moment it occurred, in the sense that it's unpayable to have like the real live data stream. This was when the tsunami happened in Japan. And I was watching the live data stream and saw suddenly that Tokyo was at a minus 10%. Fukushima was about to explode. And just to give a short example of how easy mistakes come into data visualizations. So I looked at this and as a filmmaker, I thought, wow, this is really impressive, like huge big red dot. And the DataVis guys got berserk, and we had to make an update of the whole app because they made a mistake. Because if this is 10%, if it would be minus 30, it would just, be outside of the screen. Reason for the mistake was that our first visualization, our sketch was this, and here it was not a circle, but it was an arrow, and well, the sort of coding that goes behind the DataVis caused this flaw. This was one of our interviewees who was invited by Downing Street 10 to be advised them for British regulation concerning high-frequency trading. That's at the cause of this. Three things that were for me very crucial for this project is one that I really sticked from the beginning towards the strong narrative. I really wanted the narrative to be there, and in that sense there's not so much interaction like with the Foxes project. It's really, you enter the project and you'll see it hopefully till the end. It's a very A to Z experience. I wanted to make a sort of a gated, sort of fenced app, in the sense that any possibility to exit the app, we really discussed and thought, is this necessary or not? And we tried to generate as much or as little information that we thought was necessary for you to follow the storyline, the narrative. And I really worked from day one together with the designers. There was only the embryonal idea of making a film on automation of the markets. And then from day one, I worked together with Catalog Tree, and this really enriched my world enormously. And I think theirs too, because they were not used working within a narrative environment. And we had a lot of discussions and a lot of, they influenced my film and I influenced their visualizations, and it was really a wonderful process. So, thank you.
And now we're going to Matt Adams from Blast Theory.
Hello. A talk that you can give, as far as I'm concerned, there's two virtues it can have. It can be good or it can be short. I hope I will at least score on one of those two metrics this afternoon. So, there we go. So, Blast Theory is a group based in Brighton who make interactive projects for broadcasters, festivals, and museums. And we've been approached on a number of occasions to make works for TV, interactive works for TV, and always come up against the problem of how you deal with live aspects of TV on a budget. One of TV's biggest selling points is the liveness, the sense of being able to create an event, and we see that even with pageants on the river, that there is something that hooks people to come into a live event. But every time that we've kind of tried to look at how you deliver that, outside broadcasting is a major hurdle. It's complex and it's still pretty expensive, even though those models are changing slightly. And you have that on the one side. On the other, you have kind of new models that are coming through, like National Theatre Live, the New York Met streaming live to cinemas, hundreds of cinemas reaching very large audiences, but again, still complex, still pretty expensive. And always one way, still looking at outside broadcasting as something that happens in a single direction. And based on that observation and some of the frustrations that we'd had in terms of trying to make interactive work, notably we made a commission for Radio 3 where we were brought in to make an interactive project, and it gradually became clear that under no circumstances would anything be happening live as part of this interactive project, and we kind of really sort of struggled with the notion of how you make an interactive project in which the public can't interact live and that the thing is delivered, finished, well in advance of transmission. We set up a research project with two partners, the University of Nottingham and a production company from London called Something Else, in 2009, saying, well, hang on, we're in an environment now where cameras are ubiquitous, as we've seen in a couple of instances already today. They are perfectly decent quality. They are networked and they are capable of streaming live. Commercial services have been starting to come through, like Bambuser and Kik. With Bambuser on an iPhone, you can press one button to begin streaming. And our research agenda, funded by the Technology Strategy Board, was to say, well, why can't you crowdsource outside broadcast footage? Why couldn't you have a Glastonbury coverage that's based on the fact that there are 170,000 cameras there already before the truck turns up and blokes start unspooling cables and so on? And why couldn't you use a whole range of different platforms and different devices to do that? And could you not create web interfaces that enable people to pick between these multitudes of different streams, and you kind of reward people for their stream being picked up and so on. And we started off a 12-month research project, and about 4 months in we had our first demo, and we had 6 different technologies streaming simultaneously as someone walked around the Park Brighton where we live, and found that it worked not too bad. We had a number of those technologies, an iPhone, a netbook, a CCTV camera, all streaming really nicely. Some had really bad latency, but the picture was good, some of it was all right. And sort of 3 or 4 months in, we thought, oh yeah, we definitely have something that's going to work here. And then spent the next 8 months smashing our heads against the wall as all the things that we thought, oh, that just needs fixing, became extremely difficult to fix. And it became clear that it's almost as if the people who make iPhones and Android phones have designed them to stop you streaming video too effectively from them. And there's very good reasons why that's the case. And so we created a demonstrator at the end of that research project, which worked really nicely, but we had to drop back from some of the high aspirations that we'd had, which is that people could be just using an app on their smartphone to stream. We could be picking up those streams and delivering them to a web interface and enable people to do that. But we just realized that there were other ways to do that, and the project that I'm here to talk a bit more about is a piece of work that we've just done called I'd Hide You, which was a commission for, I think in this context we say, another British broadcaster, and the Arts Council for an initiative called The Space. And this was our attempt to take some of the learning that we'd found around this research project and make it into a piece of work that could deliver today. And I'd Hide You is a kind of hybrid of an online game and a live transmission. And I'm going to just show a 90-second video in a second which kind of introduces that. But one of the things I want to sort of flag before that is about thinking about the convergence of games and TV and how you navigate that. It's a very, very difficult challenge, I think, to move between sitting back, watching something full screen, enjoying it for its visual experience, and sitting forwards and interacting and taking action. I've always found that in all the projects that try and do that, it's a tough transition to navigate effectively backwards and forwards because there's such different kinds of engagement. And so what we've tried to do was think about a piece of work where it's largely full-screen video with one single action, which is to click, and that's your only form of interaction, but you are playing a game and watching a video. And this is sort of roughly where we've got to at this stage.
Space is always as you can see. See, I wanna rise up too pretty to follow.
Welcome to I'd Hide You. 3 runners are transmitting live from the streets of Manchester. To play is simple.
What are you doing?
Hey up.
Which way did she go?
Left.
It's gone left. Right, I'll go around this way then, catch her out. Thank you!
Pick a runner to follow, watch their video, and if you spot another runner in the shot, click to take a snap.
I've been following you for a while.
But this is not just a game, this is a live transmission. You see what they see, you hear what they hear. Ask the runner a question. help them or distract them. Tweet their location or invite your friends online to join in.
Hiya. See you guys. Can you hold my hand and make sure it's in shot?
Okay, so we ran that for 9 hours in May, 3 hours over 3 successive nights, and it worked really nicely. We had 2,000 players who took 125,000 snaps between them, but there's definitely still work to be done about how you merge that transition from game to live transmission. And we had some really beautiful moments of these runners meeting people on the street, having conversations with them, getting shown into pubs and taken through the back into the kitchen and hanging out in the kitchen with some of the staff, and then the staff showing them out a secret entrance out the back and those sorts of things. We had a kind of really weird contretemps with a man on the street who was livid that this game was happening on his street and threw a punch at one of the runners. And so you have these kind of little moments where it suddenly gives you a very vivid sense of them being present, and you have this kind of very simple but quite immersive game. But I think when we do this again, which we certainly will, one of the things we will do is to take that forwards and think more about that relationship. And just to finish, I thought I would just sort of show the kit that we're using, how it's currently working. So it's a cheap, low-end-ish HD camcorder. We're using a technology called Teradek, where you buy a cube and a bond, which between them encode and stream over 3G modems. You have up to 5 3G modems plugged into it, all of them on different networks, so we're able to get a really nice quality, stable streaming picture even as people are moving through the streets. With an Android phone which is dealing with the return path from players online who are typing chat messages, so the runners as they move around the street can see those messages come in, and then a simple sort of LED light just attached onto the top. If anyone wants to know anything more about any of the tech side, I'm not a tech person, but I'll do my best. I'm around for the rest of the afternoon. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Matt. And now our last speaker before we get into the interactive and discussing part of the day. So Will Anderson is going to talk about Fish Fight.
I'm going to talk about Fish Fight. Yes, hello everyone. I'm Will Anderson. I'm a producer and director at Keo Films. Compared to all the other speakers that have just been, I feel like a complete dinosaur in the room, really. The stuff that you're coming up with, dancing bears and 360 cameras and apps running up and downstairs and live stuff is just fantastic and makes our stuff feel incredibly kind of conventional by comparison. 2 years ago, I didn't have a Facebook account. I'd never been on Twitter. I was very distrustful of all social media. I wasn't interested in it. I like people to concentrate on the films that I make. I want them to turn off their phones. I want them to fully engage in the traditional art of documentary making. We made a thing called Fish Fight a couple of years ago. That has changed my mind a bit. For those of you who don't know very much about Fish Fight, there is a clip which we can watch some of now.
The Fish Fight multi-platform campaign represents the gold standard in using TV and online media to inspire change in the real world. It's a model of how moving pictures, interactive media, and social networking combine to create highly engaged users who together have the power to bring about significant results.
You can sign up to that, can't you? Yeah, 100%.
In November 2010, Fish Fight launched a viral video on YouTube highlighting the distressing and shameful practice of discarding, where up to half the fish caught in the North Sea are being thrown back dead. It immediately started to make waves. At the same time, Hugh Fearnley-Whittingstall was travelling around the UK filming a Channel 4 cross-platform series, drawing attention to the crazy European laws which make discarding compulsory.
In the North Sea, I saw tons of prime fish being thrown back dead, because to land it would be illegal under EU fishery laws.
20 quid for one fish. It's terrible. It's a damn disgrace.
In December, the fishfight.net website went live with an online petition addressed to EU Fisheries Commissioner Maria Damanaki, exclusive video footage, and compelling interactive editorial content.
Hey, how about that? 15,259 sign-ups. Finally, we're getting the public seriously exercised about the whole business of CFP reform.
The site worked closely with key NGOs and other Channel 4 chefs, Heston, Gordon and Jamie.
Brother, what are you doing? Causing trouble? Come on have a bit, Tiger. Deep fried Gurnard, everyone.
I'm going to tweet and Facebook and do a viral video on YouTube. I mean, it's time to get this thing out there.
A carefully designed network of social media presences was also launched, including 2 Facebook and 2 Twitter accounts, interlinked with Channel 4 Food.
Stop doing that. Stop wriggling. Stop acting like a teenager. Ah, big fish fight.
Then, in January this year, Hugh's Fish Fight broadcast on Channel 4 as the core of the big fish fight season.
How many of you are going to get behind that campaign?
The audience immediately engaged and showed the strength of their feeling through online action. The results of the interplay between TV and networked media were dramatic. 1 million page impressions were clocked in just 3 hours after the final episode. During the 3 days of transmission, fishfight.net received 2 million page views. 30,000 people took the Sustainable Fish Eating quiz. 4,000 fish and chip shops were added to the Mackerel Mission map. 200,000 people liked the Fish Fight Facebook page. And, astonishingly, over 660,000 people have now signed the online petition. The campaign went viral, gathering support including help from celebrity tweeters like Stephen Fry, Dermot O'Leary and Coldplay, and stimulating international debate. Most importantly, the digital campaign started to have an impact in the real world. People all over the country are buying more sustainable species of fish and sharing their recipes on Facebook. After an email from Hugh, over 50,000 people emailed Princes, asking them to stop catching so many sharks and turtles in their tuna nets. And Princes have just announced that they will change their fishing methods by 2014. Thousands of people downloaded our letter-writing toolkit and sent messages to their MPs, asking them to support the Fish Fight campaign.
I applaud the Fish Fight campaign.
So far, 239 MPs have signed up to the cause. But most significantly of all, in March, the EU Fisheries Commissioner called an extraordinary meeting to discuss the impact of the Fish Fight campaign and to begin the process of changing the law, which will see the end of discards.
A fish fight campaign and so on, this is very important for us, very important.
By harnessing the power of television, interactive and networked media in a creative, fluid combination, the Fish Fight has emotionally engaged its audience and inspired them to take action and to push for change in the real world. The effects on the world's oceans are already being felt.
So I said that I was sceptical of the power. I said that I was sceptical of the power of the social media, but actually I'm a complete convert to it. What we've been trying to do in Fish Fight is take what are quite complex ideas and, if I'm honest, quite boring detail about common fisheries policy, which isn't the most sexy subject in the world, and try and use the power that television has to muck around and change things in the real world. And because so many people signed up to our petition, we've now got over 800,000 people online, we've created this kind of virtuous circle that Sarah Ramson was talking about earlier with foxes, where what's happening in the real world is now providing the content for us to follow in the new series that we're making at the moment for the second series, which is great as a producer because it means we don't have to do so much work, we're just reacting to things that are happening. But it also gives us quite an exciting opportunity because we've now got 800,000 email addresses of people who we know are already engaged in this subject and in this documentary, and we can ask them to do things for us, which in turn feeds back into the program. So, for example, we're obviously trying to change the law in Europe about discards. We heard a few months ago that the French government were playing silly buggers and trying to derail the whole process over there. We were able, with the digital team that work at Keo Digital with me, to put together a web page within a few hours, which gave everyone the ability to tweet all the foreign fisheries ministers in Europe in 27 different languages. We launched that. We emailed all our supporters over the weekend. We said, there's this big meeting coming up. We need your help. Tweet the ministers and let them know what you think about it. 150,000 tweets were sent over that weekend, and we were filming at the meeting on the Tuesday morning, and the French minister, lo and behold, decided not to derail the discard ban. So there is the real power, I think, that television has when it is combined with the digital channels and social media to actually change things in the real world. That's what I'm very excited about and passionate about. The proof that it is working, it will be in this next clip that I will play you, which is from the news yesterday morning. There was another big meeting in Luxembourg on Tuesday. It went on all night till 5 a.m. on Wednesday morning yesterday. And if you play the second clip, you'll hear what's happened.
Gentlemen of the modern world, you're listening to Today on Radio 4 with Justin Webb and John Humphreys. It's 8 o'clock on Wednesday, the 13th of June. The news headlines this morning. The unity of the coalition government will be tested today in a vote on whether the Culture Secretary should be investigated for allegedly breaching the ministerial code. 3 big water companies are going to lift hosepipe bans. And fisheries ministers have agreed that Europe should ban the controversial policy of discarding fish that exceed quotas. Today's newsreader is Alice Arnold.
Divisions within the coalition government.
So, Hugh and I are completely convinced now that this would not have happened had it not been for the 800,000 people and the sort of combined power that we have to really shine the media spotlight on this issue. It's an incredibly kind of unsexy topic, really. But using Twitter, using Facebook creatively, having this army that we can mess around with and ask them to do things for us is paying dividends, and it's a lot of fun, and we're really enjoying it. And I think the final clip kind of makes that point.
Yeah, I mean, on the subject of the discards, that is quite a big deal, actually, isn't it? Because it's something that's been talked about for so long. If we are now going to get firm dates, then that is real progress.
Well, it definitely is a big deal. The British government's celebrating it. Richard Benyon, the Fisheries Minister, is calling it a major breakthrough. It follows this huge campaign, of course, by the TV chef and presenter Hugh Fearnley-Whittingstall. And we've heard so much recently about the malign effect of the media. This is one case in which a TV film has actually made a hell of a lot of difference to European policy. It's really resounded through Europe, and it shows that some things can make a difference.
Roger Harrobin, thanks.
It is now 13 minutes to 9.
There you go.
Will, and thank you everybody who's just spoken. I think there is so much to take in and so many inspiring examples of multi-platform content there, which is really the aim of this, to give people fuel to go away and have ideas. But the aim of these sessions is also for everybody here to make connections and perhaps work together on ideas. And in the spirit of that, the next section is a chance for you to have a discussion on your tables around some of the themes. They're themes that tie in with some of the speakers that you've heard from today, and are the themes that are up there on the back wall. So the whole area of tell me more, finding out more about the content that Mariah was talking about, and also to some degree Richard Knuckles and getting more of a view of something, or make me better, the kind of need to improve ourselves, the motivation to interact, to make ourselves better, that the Digit guys were talking about over here. And of course, let's make a difference, the need to interact in the interests of pursuing some greater good, as Will has just said, for Fish Fight. So those are the themes, and on each table, you'll see you have a set of items. There are some instructions, and each table has a leader, which is either a Channel 4 person or someone that you've heard speaking today. So what we'd love is if you just spend the next 20 minutes or so talking about the theme on your table, and then inside these boxes are a couple of items designed to give you some stimulus for an idea for a piece of content related to that theme. At the end of the half hour, we're just going to hear very quickly what people were talking about, interesting ideas that they came up with. We're not expecting, as Ralph said at the beginning of today, these to be ideas that you would then pitch. It's really just to make connections, to talk about some of the things that you've heard today, and to start thinking about where you could go with it. So I'm going to leave you now to just talk on your table. If there is someone that you heard today that you would really love to connect with more, feel free to move to their table. And if you're at a table that there is no longer anyone at, please move from that table to a table that has people at it. And also grab a tea or a coffee and spend the next half hour talking through some ideas and points that were raised. Okay, thanks.